Hey team, welcome to this 30-day video challenge where I'm going to release 30 games in 30 days. These games are games that you can play with your team at any time. Some of them include skills, some of them include conditioning, and honestly, some of them are just tag games that you can play with your team. So make sure you tune in every single day this month where I'm going to release a new video with a brand new game. And before we get started, I'm Coach Hart, this is Building Better Baseball, and this is the best place for baseball education. So let's get into this 30-day video challenge. I'm super excited to bring you these games. Let's get started. So welcome to day 2 of the 30-day video challenge. Day 2 is called the equipment collection game. And this is a team throwing game that you can play with your team. So the ages, I would say any age can play. It's really working on throwing accuracy and throwing distance. So really any baseball team needs to work on that. So you can play at any age. It's just a matter of as the ages get older, the further out you'll have to put the equipment to make the throws farther for the older kids. The equipment that's needed, you're going to have different teams. So I would say if you have a team of 12 guys, you can make teams of 3, so you would have 4 different teams. The different equipment that's used is you're just going to have something to scatter around the field. So that's kind of up to you. If you want to take a bucket of baseballs and just kind of scatter them around the outfield, then you can do that. If you want to take different wiffle balls or just different pieces of equipment, you could put like a bat, a cleat, a hat, different baseballs, a softball, a lacrosse, like literally anything. Just have something out here in the outfield for the kids to collect. All right. So really any piece of equipment you can use. It's really up to you of what you have available. And where you can play, I would suggest you play in the outfield because that's a much bigger space and you can have much farther throws. All right. And how you play the game. So let's go with my example with you have 12 kids on the team. You have 4 teams of 3 guys, right? So you would have one team here. You would have one team here. You would have one team here, and you would have one team here, all right? And you can spread them out as far as you like. So your equipment is going to be scattered all around the outfield, just like this. Like I said, whatever you want. You could do baseballs, baseball bats, cleats, hats, whatever you have. So let's say like all the equipment is just scattered around. There's no real pattern. There's no real like kind of sequence or anything. You just kind of scatter equipment out there, try to make farther throws and easier throws to the left, throws to the right, throws in the middle, just kind of everywhere, right? So the purpose of the game, how you play this game, is each team is trying to collect as many pieces of equipment as they can. That's how they win the game, all right? You win the game by having the most equipment possible, the most equipment collected. So you have your team of guys here. So let's say one's here, one's here, one's here. You have 4 guys, right? So the guy number 1, the first person, goes out to the piece of equipment. They can choose any piece of equipment. So for strategy reasons, you would probably choose the equipment that's right in front of you because that's pretty easy, right? But really, any player can go to any piece of equipment. So this person right here, if they wanted to travel all the way back here in this corner, technically they could. That's part of the game. But nobody would really do that because that's a really far throw, all right? You collect the equipment by having the next person in line throw you the ball. All right. And if you're doing baseballs or you're doing any piece of equipment, I would say have the person straddle the piece of equipment. So just straddle and stand over top of the cleat, the hat, the baseball, or whatever. So just stand over it. And the next person in line has to throw them the ball. It has to be an accurate throw and it has to be in the air. It can't bounce on the floor. You can make that rule for farther throws. If there's a really far throw and your kids can't get it there and you allow 1 bounce, that's really up to you. You can allow 1 bounce. I usually play where you have to get it to them in the air, and I just set up the equipment where I know that they can make those throws. So the next person in line throws the first person the ball wherever they are. If they catch the ball, then that person who caught the ball, who's out in the field, they pick up the piece of equipment that they're straddling and they bring it back for their team and put it in the pile for their team. Then they get into the back of the line here. Everybody moves up. The person who just threw the ball, they go and choose a piece of equipment, right? Then the next person in line, they would throw the ball to them. Right? So when you're out at the equipment and you catch the ball and you pick up your piece of equipment on your way back to your line, right? So let's say that this person throws it here, right? On the way back to the line, you would drop off the ball that you're throwing to the next person so they have the ball to throw, right? So it's kind of like almost a relay race where the person in front goes out to any piece of equipment, right? If they get a successful throw and a successful catch, then they pick up that piece of equipment and that is theirs for their team. They collect it, they bring it back and set it in a pile for their team and kind of collect it for their team, and that's how the game goes. And most likely all of these pieces of equipment in the front will start to go, and then you'll just have further and further throws until by the end of the game you'll have the furthest throw. So let's say that these farther throws are the only ones left, right? The only way, as we said, the only way that they can collect these is if they have a successful throw. So if they drop the ball or the ball doesn't get to them or it's a bad throw where they have to leave their area and really like go over here to try and catch the ball, they don't get that piece of equipment. They would not collect that piece of equipment. They would just get the ball and bring it back to their team, get back in line, next person would go. All right, so this is a really fun game. It really works on throwing accuracy, throwing distance, like arm strength, teamwork, and it's just an all-around, all-inclusive, fun game that you can play with your team. It's just like very different, right? So you just lay out a whole bunch of a piece of equipment in the outfield, just scatter them around. You have 4 teams, 5 teams, however many people you want. I would say teams of at least 3 people would be best. 2 people is too much because they're just going to be going back and forth. And I would say like 5 or 6 kids, that's just too many kids and a lot of waiting around. You don't want a lot of waiting or standing around, right? I would say teams of 3 or 4 players is perfect, where the person goes out, they find any piece of equipment they want, it's their choice, they stand over top of it, the next person on the foul line throws them the ball. If they catch it successfully and it's a good throw and they don't have to move too much, they collect that ball, they pick it up off the outfield ground, they bring it back for their team, they give the ball to the next person, and then the next person goes out. By the end of the game, one team is going to have the most equipment, you just count, and then they're going to be the winner. So I hope you like this game, Day 2, the Equipment Collection Team Throwing Game. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for Day 3's game. I'll see you then. So I hope you enjoyed today's game, and I hope I explained it in a way that you understand and that you can explain it to your team so you can incorporate it into your practices. This is just another game that you can add to your practice plans to have some fun during your practices with your youth baseball team. Before you go, don't forget to grab your free 2-hour practice plan. I made it just for you to help you out in your practice plans. And in the description below, you'll also see a free baseball equipment sizing guide. There's how to get more playing time. There's how to do batting practice. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I made for you for free. Be sure to grab it before you go. It's all down in the description. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Remember, this is Building Better Baseball. I'm Coach Hart, and I'll see you next time.